The samurai were elite warriors of feudal Japan, who would later evolve to become the ruling military class of the Edo period, 1603 to 1837. Their weapons were a display of status and power in ancient Japan. For instance, wearing two swords was a privilege given to the samurai. Here are some of the deadliest weapons of the Japanese samurai. If you haven't already, hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more videos. Katana, a blade and a soul of the warrior. The katana was a curved, slender, single-bladed longsword with a circular or squared guard and long grip to accommodate two hands. The samurai wore the katana on their left hip, with the edge facing down. The best katana were made by master craftsmen, who would repeatedly heat and fold the steel to produce blades of extraordinary strength and sharpness, strong enough to be used defensively, but sharp enough to slide through limbs. The katana rose in popularity due to the changed nature of close combat warfare. The samurai could draw the sword and strike the enemy in one single motion. The samurai was considered synonymous with his katana, as moral code dictated that a samurai's soul was in his katana. Katanas were often paired with a smaller companion sword, such as a wakizashi or tanto. The pairing of a katana with a smaller sword was called the daisho. Wakizashi, an auxiliary blade. A shorter sword than katana, the wakizashi was worn together with the katana as daisho, literally translated as big little. Only the samurai were permitted to wear the daisho, as it symbolized their social power and personal honor. Between 12 to 24 inches long, the wakizashi had a slightly curved blade with a square-shaped hilt. The hilt and scabbard would be richly decorated with traditional motifs. The wakizashi was used as a backup or auxiliary sword, or sometimes to commit ritualistic self-harm. According to tradition, the samurai was required to leave his katana with a servant when entering a house or building. However, he would be allowed to wear the wakizashi. The wakizashi would be kept near the samurai's bed. For this reason, it was often called the samurai's left arm. Tanto, a double-edged knife. The tanto was a single or double-edged knife designed as a stabbing or slashing weapon. Most samurai would carry one of these short, sharp daggers. Dating back to the Heian period, 794 to 1185, the tanto was mainly used as a weapon, but later evolved to become more ornate and aesthetically pleasing. The tanto had a ceremonial and decorative function. It would often be used by the samurai in seppuku, the ritualistic self-harm by disembowelment. During the relatively peaceful Edo period, 1603 to 1868, there was little need for blades, and the tanto was replaced by the katana and wakizashi. Women would sometimes carry a small tanto, called a kaiken, to be used for self-defense. Naginata, a long-bladed pole. The naginata was the iconic weapon of the Onobugeisha, the female warriors of the Japanese nobility. It was also a common part of a dowry of noble women. The naginata was a long-bladed pole weapon, heavier and slower than the Japanese sword. The blade of the ko naginata, used by women, was smaller than the male warrior's o naginata, to compensate for the women's shorter height and lesser upper body strength. In the Meiji period, 1868 to 1912, the naginata gained popularity among sword martial arts, especially with women. Yumi, the ancient Japanese longbow. The yumi was an asymmetric Japanese longbow and an important weapon of the samurai during the feudal period of Japan. It would shoot Japanese arrows, known as ya. Traditionally made of laminated bamboo, wood, and leather, the yumi was exceptionally tall at over 2 meters and exceeded the height of the archer. The yumi had a long history in Japan, as the samurai were mounted warriors who used the bow and arrow as their primary weapon while on horseback. Although the samurai were best known for their swordsmanship with the katana, Kyujutsu, the art of archery, was actually considered a more vital skill. During the majority of the Kamakura and Muromachi periods, 1185 to 1568, the yumi was almost exclusively the symbol of the professional warrior, and the way of life of the warrior was called Kyuba no Michi, the way of the horse and bow. Kabutowari, skull-breaking knife. The kabutowari, also known as hachiwari, was a type of knife-shaped weapon and carried as a sidearm by the samurai. Kabutowari means helmet breaker or skull breaker, kabuto being the helmet worn by the samurai. A relatively small sword, the kabutowari came in two forms, a dirk type and truncheon type. The blade of the dirk type was designed to split the helmet of the enemy. Pole weapons. Pole weapons, including the yari or spear and naginata, were commonly used by the samurai. The yari displaced the naginata from the battlefield as personal bravery became less of a factor, and battles became more organized around massed, inexpensive foot troops. A charge, mounted or dismounted, was also more effective when using a spear rather than a sword, as it offered better than even odds against a samurai using a sword. In the Battle of Shizugatake, where Shibata Kitsui was defeated by Toyotomi Hideyoshi, 7 samurai who came to be known as the 7 Spears of Shizugatake played a crucial role in the victory. Matchlock guns. The Tanegashima was introduced to Japan in 1543 through Portuguese trade. These were produced on a large scale by Japanese gunsmiths, enabling warlords to raise and train armies from masses of peasants. The new weapons were highly effective. Their ease of use and deadly effectiveness led to the Tanegashima becoming the weapon of choice over the Yumi. By the end of the 16th century, there were more firearms in Japan than in many European nations. Production of Tanegashima declined sharply as there were no need for massive amounts of firearms. During the Edo period, Tanegashima were stored away and used mainly for hunting and target practice. Foreign intervention in the 19th century renewed interest in firearms, but the Tanegashima was outdated by then, and various samurai factions purchased more modern firearms from European sources. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one.